Hello and welcome back to Hydroponics Daily, your one-stop shop for everything soilless cultivation. Today I have been to GreenTech, a very large trade show here in Amsterdam in the Netherlands, and it's all to do with greenhouses and hydroponics. And I just thought I'd give you some insights into the show and where it's headed in the last few years and the sort of state of play as it is now, because you may have been in the past and it's a very different show than it used to be, certainly before COVID. So I used to exhibit, I've exhibited a number of years, GreenTech, and it's changed a lot. It used to be, there used to be a lot of fertilizer manufacturers here, and now there's only a scattering, probably two or three, probably one or two biostimulant manufacturers. You probably, 5 years ago, there was probably 10, 15 seaweed manufacturers alone. But today there was very few. I think there was one microalgae company here at all. And that's very different to what it used to be. In their place, the show isn't smaller. It's probably the same size as it's always been. It always takes up about 3 or 4 of the big halls here in the RAI or the RAI Amsterdam. In its place is a lot of LED lighting companies. LEDs are not that new, but the number of companies has massively increased in the last year or so. Obviously, there's Chinese manufacturers, but there's also European, a lot more Dutch manufacturers of LED now. Didn't see one sodium lamp, didn't see one plasma or HPS or anything like that. Did see one UVC product. Here's probably a few more. So a lot more lighting, and probably to the detriment of the show, because some of the lighting manufacturers were pointing and positioning the lights at the visitors, and so that you were blasted with them as you walk past. And it was uncomfortable, to say the least. A number of visitors said to me that they wished they'd brought sunglasses with them. It was that bad. So if you're listening, anyone from GreenTech, have a word with the lighting manufacturers. They need to be properly, the visitors need to be properly protected from them, because they can cause damage to you. Also at GreenTech, there's always loads of twine manufacturers. Who knew that greenhouses use so much twine for supporting tomato plants and cucumbers? So many of them, and it's a massive waste problem, all these plastic twine. Some of them are biodegradable or even natural in origin. So there's 2 different types, but why you need 50 different twine manufacturers, I have no idea. There were some really, really good exhibits. Priva, I think they're called. They're that turnkey solutions for anything greenhouse. Fantastic sort of geodesic dome display that stood out. They also had a bar, which was lovely. Gave me a free drink on the way past when I really needed it. Over the next few days, I'll probably go through about 6 or 7 of the exhibitions and the technologies that were on show, some of the new technology, and I'll sort of say why I thought they were amazing. I'll do a deep dive on each one, on each episode. But there was a lot of new technology which I liked, because sometimes when you come to these shows, it's the same old people exhibiting the same old stands with the same old technology. And yet there was a lot of new stuff this year, which was really exciting. So I wouldn't say I'd made money today, but I certainly got my money's worth within the first 5 minutes of walking through the hall. And there's not many trade shows where you can say that. So super excited about GreenTech. So fantastic show from my perspective. It did involve me getting up at 4 a.m. to catch a flight from Heathrow, which wasn't great. The bus ride from the parking to the airport took longer than the actual flight, though. So yeah, you could probably do, if you're based in England, you could do GreenTech in a day, because it shuts at 8 p.m. So as I record this now, it's still open, and I've not been at the show for a good 3 hours. So it's a long show. If you are there at 6 or 7 o'clock, there's a lot of beer flowing. There is, a lot of Dutch middle-aged men partying with Dutch middle-aged men. It's quite the homoerotic show after about 6 p.m. It's quite funny, really, because they have the disco music on and stuff, but there's very few women. What else? There was one hilarious one today as well. There was one stand that had a dart sensation. No, not Luke Littler, Dirk the Aubergenius, and I'm not making this up. Dirk is an actual aubergine farmer who is also a professional darts player. So you will see him at Christmas time. If you in your country, they have the darts on the television. Watch out for Dirk the Aubergenius. He was on this year, and you could enter a competition to play against him at 3:00 today, every day. And then today he played one of the attendees, which was quite funny. So I've got a good video of that, of Dirk the Aubergenius scoring a 180. I've got a friend who is a professional golfer, actually qualified for the Open, and I'm going to have him on my stand next time we exhibit somewhere, and his name's Adam, so I'm going to call him Adam the Apple, and you're going to see if you can output him. That's going to be my quirky thing. So yeah, let's look through some of these cards. There was, so Prayon, really good stand. There was a lot of biostimulants. There was a lot of new organic products, which was exciting because we sell a lot of products that are not organic, but there was a lot of organic versions. So I'll be interested in getting some of those. There was a really interesting cocoa supplier from Sri Lanka. And it was interesting, not because it was cocoa, but they had fake cannabis plants on their stand, which is nothing new. You see, these plastic plants, but they actually had ones that were showing symptoms of nutrient deficiency. And I thought that must be the most niche of niche business ideas in the whole of hydroponics. Let's create plastic cannabis plants that show symptoms of nutrient deficiency. I mean, fair play to you. These people have bought them. So, I'll probably buy one as well. Other more interesting ones, there was a Norwegian company that were manufacturing alternatives to cocoa and rockwool out of spruce bark, which had really good properties. Obviously, they were hyping it up, saying it was better than cocoa. But it'd be interesting to do some trials in our grow room, comparing cocoa slabs to rockwool slabs to spruce bark slabs. They were called Fiber Grow. I'll do a podcast about them. There was a micropropagation company, Lab Associates. They always have a really good exhibit at GreenTech, and I'm going to speak to them again tomorrow because I want to do a follow-up to my micropropagation episode, because I'm sure there were lots of errors in it. So those guys can have a listen and say where I went wrong on that one. Got some samples of that spruce bark as well, if anyone wants to have a look at it. There was a drone company, and I'm going to do my episode tomorrow on the use of drones in hydroponics, because they had a really good table, and it said all the different types of crops and all the different uses you could use drones for on those crops. So I'll go through that table tomorrow, because that is really wicked. And they had drones on display, and they have them in big cages, because obviously, heaven forbid, somebody should be struck by a drone. What else have we got? It's got some stuff, but I got some stuff from Wageningen University, which is the #1 horticultural university possibly in the world. It probably competes with UC Davis for being the #1 horticultural university, and they had a flyer on towards circular greenhouses and horticulture. So that's about making sure that all of the inputs are recycled. So I'd be really interesting to speak to them again about how you could sort of produce a circular loop hydroponic system, because there's a lot of waste even in recirculatory hydroponics. So that'd be interesting. So lots to look at. As I say, it was a really good show. There are other shows around the world that are also worth visiting, like Cultivate in Ohio is a good one I've been to. Fruit Logistica in Berlin is good. However, it is in Berlin in January, which is very cold. I drove there. It's in Eastern Europe. I didn't realize that. Didn't realize how far from Eastern Europe it was. But I drove there once to exhibit. And the people who run the place, they are very, very strict. And I got chased by some policemen shouting, "Halt!" as I broke through a barrier to try and get my belongings back to my car, heaven forbid, so I could get to a ferry in time. Other good shows are Fruit Attraction. That's a really up-and-coming big show, but it's growing every year, whereas GreenTech, which I've just been to today, that's not so much growing, it's sort of staying the same size. Fruit Attraction is growing year on year. That's in Madrid, in Spain, in September, which sounds delightful. So I'll be there. And there are a couple of shows, sourcing shows in China that I like to go to. And then there are the crop-specific shows that you'll have heard of around Europe and America for your individual crop. And they're good for seeing how technology is being applied to certain situations. But I'd say for an all-round bang for your buck, GreenTech, you can't beat it. It is €130 to get into GreenTech, which is a bit of a pinch, but yeah, not too bad. So until tomorrow when I'll talk about drones, thank you very much for listening and goodbye.